Good afternoon and welcome to today's remote edition of Cronkite Sports Now. I'm Carly Mathias. Let's talk some sports. When will sports return? That's the question we have yet to receive an answer to. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, shared his thoughts on when sports could return and what that would look like.
Still holding out hope for some kind of abbreviated baseball season this summer. College football will start in late August, NFL right after that. Do you think those sports seasons are in jeopardy? Are we going to have college football this fall?
There's a way of doing that. Nobody comes to the stadium. Put them in big hotels, wherever you want to play. Keep them very well surveilled, namely a surveillance, but have them tested like every week and make sure they don't wind up infecting each other or their family, and just let them play the season out. I mean, people say, well, you can't play without spectators. Well, I think you'd probably get enough buy-in from people who are dying to see a baseball game, particularly me. I'm living in Washington. We have the world champion Washington Nationals. I want to see them play again.
When COVID-19 shut down the sports world, the NBA and NHL were headed to the playoffs while MLB was just getting ready to start. We want to hear from you. What sport do you miss the most? Head over to our Cronkite Sports Twitter page to vote in our live interactive poll. Since 2005, thousands of runners have gathered in Tempe to honor the memory of Pat Tillman, the ASU and Arizona Cardinals star safety who was killed in a friendly fire incident in Afghanistan in 2004. But this coming Saturday, April 18th, those runners will not be running through the streets of Tempe, but rather doing it in their own neighborhoods virtually due to the coronavirus pandemic. Cronkite reporter Kirsten Corns tells you how you can still sign up and talk with the organizers and participants of the run.
What comes to mind when you think of a legend? For the state of Arizona, the legacy of star football safety and Army veteran Pat Tillman lives on every year at the annual Pats Run in Tempe.
It's a great day for Sun Devils. It's a great day for friends and family of Pat to be able to come kind of together on an annual basis to have kind of a special tribute to him.
Pat's Run this year was expected to bring nearly 30,000 participants together for a 4.2-mile run that would have finished on the 42-yard line of Sun Devil Stadium.
Here we are, 16 years later, having 28,000 signed up, and we could probably get 35 or 40, but obviously the streets can only hold so much.
Sadly, however, on March 14th, the Pat Tillman Foundation announced its virtual plans following the social distancing recommendations issued by the CDC due to COVID-19.
An important thing to still have go on. It means a lot to a lot of people. So to find a way to continue to do it, in a safe and compliant fashion is important as opposed to outright canceling it.
Runners will now have the chance to get creative and find 4.2-mile routes in their own neighborhoods or homes, in which they will run remotely through social media.
I live downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, so I'm kind of trying to set something up where I just go through the downtown area and kind of circle back towards my house.
I live in a pretty small town here in southeast Iowa, but we do have like 17 miles of trail systems here in town, so scattered out a few areas, and so I have the 4.2-mile course that I want to run.
I live in North Carolina now, but one of the most recognizable things about me is I'm the guy that I still have all my Pats Run shirts. When I go to the gym, I'll wear them. And I'm the Pat Tillman guy because it doesn't matter if you went to ASU, if you're from Arizona or not, like everyone knows who he is.
And it is that legacy of Pat Tillman that drives this event, regardless of where participants might run their 4.2 miles.
Still excited. I'm still clearly repping my ASU gear, and it's definitely a little different, but it's fun in a different way.
Just do it virtually, and that's still a plus, because we get to pay that remembrance. And that's the reason why we did it. Pat was the type of guy who didn't take any shortcuts, and that's kind of how it is now. We're not going to take any shortcuts.
There's very few people I respect more than people who have served. And for example, Pat Tillman, somebody who made it to Division I, made it to the pros, and decided he had a greater calling, and that was to serve his country.
Everyone I've talked to over the years has their own reasons, and a lot of their reasons may have started with their connection to Pat or Sun Devil football or Cardinal football, but it extends through their lives and their families and their kids and their pets and, their own military service.
In Phoenix, Kirsten Corns, Cronkite News.
Kirsten Corns just let us know about this year's Pats Run, but here to talk about the very first Pats Run is Zach Dowman. Zach, what was the significance of the first run and why did it start?
Yeah, I mean, Pat Tillman was this iconic ASU alum. And, it was about a year ago when he passed away, and his close friends came together and wanted to make sure his legacy and what he stood for wouldn't be forgotten.
Organizers were worried about the turnout of the event before it actually happened, but what ended up happening come race day?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the process, they talked about maybe 700 people signed up, and they were getting a little worried here and there. But when race day came, it actually came over 5,000 people showed up, like 5,500, I think. And, they actually had the night before had to make more shirts and print more shirts. And I think that was pretty special because it spoke to how many people wanted to celebrate the life of Pat Tillman.
Pat is such an iconic figure, not only in Arizona, but for the whole nation. What do you think this run means to Arizonans?
I mean, a lot of people like to think it's one of the state's greatest day in Arizona. Like I said, Pat Tillman was one of those iconic, well-known ASU student athletes, and what he did and what he sacrificed is, unspoken for. So, I mean, it's I think Arizonans love what he's about and what he stands for.
So many people have come to this event over the past few years, and organizers that started the very first one are still on it now. What do they have to say about how this event has come together every year?
Yeah, I mean, talking to the original founders of the run itself, they couldn't imagine what it would become. It was just a simple way to honor their friend and remember his legacy, and it turned out to be something, as they quote, something bigger and badder than they ever thought it could be.
All right, thank you, Zach. To read his story for this edition of Arizona Sports Rewind, you can go to the sports tab on cronkitenews.azpbs.org. Thanks for joining us, Zach. All are still welcome to sign up for this weekend's virtual run at pattillman.org. Participants will be able to connect and share their virtual results via social media. Staying connected during this time of social distancing is important, especially within the professional sports organizations. Phoenix Suns General Manager James Jones explained how the Suns organization is working together to stay on the same page during this time of working remotely.
All of our communications are, they're just about how they're doing as citizens, because this is a very trying time. It's something that we've never seen as a league, something we haven't seen as a society in America. And I think everyone's processing it, and they're processing it well.
Staying on the hardwood, we have more news from ASU Hoops. This time, it's from the women's team. 6'4" Australian center Imogen Greenslade has officially signed with the Sun Devils. Greenslade is the sixth member of the 2020-2021 recruiting class for the women's team. In other women's sports news, the LPGA announced today that the 2020 Volvic Founders Cup held here in Phoenix has been canceled after the event was originally postponed on March 12th due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The tournament is expected to return to the LPGA schedule in 2021. Before we get out of here, don't forget, for some Cronkite Sports Bracketology, head over to our Twitter page to vote for your favorite sports movie. For the top Arizona sports stories from around the valley, visit the Cronkite Sports tab on arizonasports.com. And as always, for the top news stories, head over to our website at cronkitenews.azpbs.org. From all of us here at Cronkite Sports Now, thank you so much for joining us. Be safe, enjoy your Thursday evening, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow.